Muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for your guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support as palabras. I appreciate every one of you. And before I start into the story, do excuse me if I sound a little acayaya, right? But I've been having a gang of breathing problems, so I wasn't gonna record, but at the end of the day, I just said this ain't gonna buckle me down, and here I am, right? But anyways, to get into the story on him, today I want to talk more so on the difference of Pili and their mindset, right? And a camarada that I personally go back ever since the YA days. But first off, I want to talk about, Mo, or Little Mo from White Fence. And when I came, I'm not gonna say in crossings, but heard about him was ever since Solano when I was back there with the other homie Chato from White Fence. It's just how some Pilis work, right? Again, there is good Pilis, and first and foremost, I got nothing negative to say about this Pili per se, right? But anyways, Chato was his soldado, and his advice is, if it ain't a jardín we could establish, don't even lift us, allow everyone to do their thing, right? In other words, don't get caught up in political BS if we can't do nothing, which at this time, northern institutions were only there for a little bit before it kicked off or we got moved on, right? But within time, years passed by, and I was again with him in the 180 in Tehachapi, at least for a short while. And when I was there, he was a lot more active, right? Like basically requesting his position to touch base with Little Mo. And if I recall correct, he had about a month, 2 months to go to the pad, right? But again, I ended up getting snatched up and sent back to the shoe. So this was Big Chato. Now to backtrack a little bit, ever since why I go back with his son, Little Chato from Little Valley. And first and foremost, he was a knucklehead. He was a fool. He's a good homie YA. And we ran across each other again in Ironwood on Aya, right? And the homie, he was real political, but not in a good sense. His jefito had brought him along to be under Little Mo's wing. And to be sincere, it went from being a good camarada to being a high-powered camarada, right? At least with other people. With me, it was more on the mellow trip, right? But and nevertheless, he was younger, and I had that position, right? So we used to talk a lot. Sometimes we would get into a handball thing, so we had time to chop it up, and he was always caught up in something in Ironwood, you know, and he was a fool again, he was always requesting to make something personal and going to sell with someone or, pushing an agenda against somebody, which for one, it was real well known that Little Mo did not like that extra drama, right? He liked making his feria, but he didn't like that extra attention that brought to him and to his surroundings. But it's how it works, A Billy could be a certain way, but as long as he's being pleased, his soldados, well, at this time that they weren't running the main lines, they were literally around the program, which there's always been a lot of rotten camaradas, right? That play with their pride and their ego instead of doing the right thing. But it just goes as far as power getting into people's head, right? People seem to forget it now. But little Chato been down for a long time. He hasn't been out since we were in YA, so but he was gonna get out. So my advice to him was, do your thing for the Pili, but I personally know your jefe, and I know that I seen the way he is, and of course he does his thing. He collects what he needs to collect, and he does it properly and quietly without having to bring extra things. You get out with this mindset, and it's gonna hit the fan. So, nevertheless, you know, time went by, and a lot of things happened, right? And I'm already up in Pelican Bay, and there's another homie, the homie Spooky from Little Valley, and Chino from White Fence. But this Chino was from Westside White Fence. Nevertheless, he was on the mole, right? And of course, like I said, I went back with both of them, so I was curious. And he told me they were both on the streets at that moment, right? But they were running amok. So right away I said, "What you mean running amok?" Yeah, basically asking the Pili for a request to extend the territory because they see an open land to get him in there. And again, Mo is it's a real mellow Pili you hardly hear of, right? But you know he is a member, so he has to get out there and of course stay relevant to not be politicked on, right? And I'm talking about Bell Gardens. They were starting to move into Bell Gardens. I remember later on, a few homies, like a year and a half after this, a few homies with this ended up driving up back there. And I believe it was Weasel, Wino, Shorty. There was a few homies right from Bell Garden locals. And one happened to land in the section, so me being curious about Little Chato, it's just, I required to know a little bit about what was going on with them because I knew that was the crew that was with them, right? And basically, Little Chato was taking them on a good mission, right? They were pressing on Bell Garden locals and King Cobras right there in the city, and there was pushback, if you want to say that, right? With brother Billy from King Cobras from that area, and they uh they got into it real bad, and it went from people laying down people and taking their stuff to just right out politicking against them, so that there was already welcoming coming into the county jail, right, for whatever reason. But again, Little Mo is just more chill. So I guess one night they went out there to a vato that had a little casita who was moving, and the vato was just fed up. He had already gotten the green light from Playboy, and they come around again, go ahead and take care of it, right? Without So he was reading between them lines. So to the thought, little Chato and I believe his jefe is there with them. I'm not sure, but regardless, that day they were waiting on them, and little Chato got domed, and a big war started amongst Little Mo Soldados and Playboy, but other factors come into play. For example, again, Little Mo was just authorizing them use their name to reach out, right? And the sense of just reaching out, you want to pay your respects to me, and you know how it goes, but like more, not gonna say in a peaceful way because the surroundings, but it was more on a humble tip, right? But it just takes a bad apple, right? To be in front, to guide camaradas in the wrong direction. That's what Chato did, and of course, there was camaradas paying attention to him, and since him and his Efito were known to be under Little Mo, they were they were going toe for toe, upholding the Billy's respects, or thought they were. But another good Billy that was back there that you never, hardly ever heard of him getting involved, show a little more love, and brought it to his attention was Chente from East LA. And he's well known to have reach, right, when it comes to 213 East LA, Rifa, Trece, all that little area. But basically told him, man, what's up? Why you starting a war when you already have yours? At this time it was well known that white fans, west side white fans, some part of Little Valley, he was had income coming from different angles. But little more was stunned, if you say, and right away he got at the homie Weasel, and he told me like, hey, little homie, trip. What should my response be? Because the homie was a soldado from him. But Pinta wise, he was a little acá. So I told him he's just basically requiring an answer, right? So just be honest. Don't mislead him because you guys kept him in the blind, and now it's hitting his direction, which pretty sure he's not gonna leave you guys hanging and he's gonna speak up. But the Billy from Quincoras, he was pressing on answers. And little Mo, he had to make some examples. And, unfortunately, for something his son was doing, Chato, big Chato from White Fans, he ended up getting hit real bad. I'm talking about, he had me about 15 years, right? And after so long doing things correct, they left him a mark, literally, that went from on top of his ear all the way now to his lips. And you guys know what that mark means. There was no coming back from it. And the one that had started everything was gone, right? Little Chato. But they had to make an example. Which, I want to say three homies from Bell Garden that were supporting him, well, from Bell Garden locals, trying to press on King Cobras. They ended up getting hit, right? As a chequeada. One of them decided to check in, the other two, they kept pushing because, again, they don't want to put it out there as a chequeada. But Player was still not happy. They went into his territory. He wanted blood. But due to his history, right, of being mellow, Chente had a lot of respect, a lot of juice. People did not like getting in a conflict with him, and he spoke up. As for the rest of the camaradas, because when it came to experience, Chente had a little more, right? So he knew even though they were going to start pressing the issue on little more, they were going to still put on the list when it came to camaradas. It's just that easy, right? And to be sincere, there's a reason behind. That's why I always say you're entitled to ask questions. Let me see that on my bill. Yeah, I'll boogie with you, vámonos. But let me see so I could back my butt up too. When you take somebody's word and you just rush into things, it could be a lie. Unfortunately, little Chato started using, and greed got the best of him again. I love the little homie because we did a lot of things in YA, and remember the riot due to Negro from Pomona right there in Ironwood. When it was go time, he was there with me to the dot, right? And it's a good homie. He didn't know how to control power. And this is what you see nowadays. But anyways, Chente, he shielded them, and it was left alone with the fine. Yes, you guys know a fine is gonna always be out there, and it came from the camaradas to the Billy, for the misunderstanding per se. But it's just that easy. Unfortunately, Chato went rotten, right? They didn't know how to handle power. You could be supporting the causa for many years, but the minute you climb up and get a little bit of power, you become a dolphin and you start doing things outside the norm. Then in reality, you were never about it, right? You're always in it for yourself, period. But how it dragged other people and more so his jefito is just something that, as I state a lot, everyone has to stay smart, especially when you see vatos getting out the pinta with palabra de esto otro, or they want to brainwash you. Just hope everything that's being put out here, not just by me, can actually strain that vision of seeing through them, right? They ended up leaving it alone, but I want to talk about the difference, right? And how there is a lot of difference from one Billy to the next. I'll close with this. Everybody knows Little Mo. He got brought in by that one Jaina boxer, right? From Artesia. And he was basically busted for doing the vatos willing, right? Or dope, whatever. But in that there was three. Boxer, Yaco, and Little Mo. Out of them three, only one still standing. And I don't mean in the sense of alive, right? Boxer, somebody sent me something about him where he says from the minute he got jumped in, he knew he was going to snitch and drop out. That should tell you what type of heart that individual has, right? Besides him not having no shame to still say he's going to keep snitching and reporting people. But he was a politiker, dirty individual, and in reality, all the way around, he was a weenie. It's a weenie. The other one was Yaku. He had a lot of power, but he allowed that power to corrupt him. He used and abused a lot of camaradas. Nevertheless, he held his ground, right? Up until the point he seen the writing on the wall and he called it quits. And as he called it quits, as you guys know, he still went out sideways and went and got on the stand pointing fingers. So, like his maestro, right? But again, he was an abuser. And here you have Little Mo that's been maintaining by staying away from trauma. But even when it comes to them, look how easy it is for trauma to come to them. So just be smart. Don't waste your life by going under a guessing trip, right? Is it going to happen to me? When it's going to happen to me? How it's going to happen to me? When you can be out enjoying life, creating moments with those that deserve. But with this said, I hope I made sense. I'm so sorry if I didn't. Again, I'm really going through it and I apologize. But, I'm not going to buckle and allow this to dictate none of my actions, right? But with this said, I'll let everybody rest. Please stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones. Buenas noches.